when you were first getting established, did you have a clear vision of what you wanted to do and then had closed doors? Okay, no. Talk to me about some of the messiness, if you will. Shit like you thought you were going to go in this direction, that didn't quite work like you thought it would, and then you sort of pivoted into like another direction.
I went to university. I knew I wanted to be successful career-wise. Thought maybe I'd want to be a lawyer. As soon as I got there in this big ecosystem of tons of students and personalities and people of different backgrounds and whatever and yada yada, and me being a social butterfly, and I fell into throwing parties and promoting, and was doing it at the biggest level at the school, and ended up staying in that town for a few years after and throwing concerts and stuff. Coming from Canada, it was really hard to get rappers in, so doing hip hop shows and getting them artists not being able to cross the border, and I actually had a show in like 2011 with Nipsey Hussle that he couldn't get across the border, but he was like the one guy that was really cool and sent the money back. And then when working with him in the music industry here, he explained the whole story of what happened. It was just really, that one was kind of cool. But then realized I don't want to just be doing stuff in this small town, London, Ontario, 2 hours outside of Toronto. I need to get back to Toronto. So I went back to Toronto and was doing parties at a really high level there. And I was the guy doing all the hip hop stuff. So when NBA players or rappers were in town, I was often the one like hosting them, and noticed that I was like able to become friends with all these guys, but I wanted like something to like offer so I can do more than just like be like their plug in the city. And I knew I didn't want to be working in clubs and parties. I seeing the future of like these guys who do this, that when I'm 40, I'd be like owning clubs and like hanging out with like young girls and like many of that. So
right.
And I'm not saying like that I necessarily be that kind of person, but I meant like the lifestyle of what that is and what that entails. That was like the direction of that, and that was not what I wanted in life. And I wanted to find a way to LA. I wanted to work in the music industry, but I didn't really know how and what to do. There wasn't really much of it in my city. Being born in 1986, the same, and from the city and community another very famous guy from my city named Drake, who's also born in 1986 and from the same community.
Oh, same year, yeah.
Us being the same age and being in some similar circles, and me being the guy throwing parties and stuff, I ended up with a couple friends doing his first concert in 2009. And then being friends with the guys who started this cool brand called XO, who were friends with this artist, Abel, and doing some of his early shows and being the ones taking him out to clubs and stuff like that. And around that time, a friend of mine from school was starting a grills company back in 2013. She had an idea to start a grills company back in 2013.
So for those listening that might not even know, honestly, it's grills, mouth
gold
grills.
in your mouth and stuff. And when I would think about that, I'd think about like Paul Wall and Nelly and like Houston rappers. And I'm like, that's not really for me. But then I went online and looked, and at that time in 2013, it was a big trend for white female models and singers and actresses, and especially females, and everybody. Like everyone was getting grills. So I was like, this would become something cool to have a product to offer these rappers and basketball players and stuff to have something to offer. And
you were already in the mix with the promoting, right? And
this is going to be a way to segue me to what I want to do next. Still not really knowing exactly what that is. I really love music, would love to get into music. Started this girls company, and it wasn't something to like make a ton of money, because whatever money we'd make, we'd then put into making free grills for like all the OVO guys in the city, the Blue Jays, the Raptors.
You would just give away grills, you're saying?
I'd make free ones for the celebrities, so they would then post it on their page, and then I got a huge brand. I was in XXL magazine, and I was like competition, seeming like with like Johnny Dang and these guys. They're making millions of dollars. I wasn't making anything. I was just making noise, and it was a way to get. I'd see a artist at dinner with this girl, and like it's not appropriate to go talk to them and that like that, but I'd go right up and like, hey, blah, blah, my name's Cory, I do this.
You were kind of brash like that.
You want to get booked in Toronto, or I'd love to make you a free grill. Like I did, and they're like, oh, you want to give me free gold? Sure. No,
wow.
Everyone say yes to that.
And we should tell people, I don't think we got on tape, but it was called Goldie Rocks, which I thought was a clever name. I like that.
Thank you.
When did you decide it was time to set down the grills then?
When I started getting more serious in doing more stuff in music, I wanted to be less, and girls want to be less and less of a club guy. promoter and event guy.
Like you just said, you know where that path was going to go.
Exactly.
You didn't want to go
then
there.
Once for the grills thing, so fast forwarding, I'm living with Party next door out here while he's the #1 writer in the world, seen as the gateway to the world. He wrote Work. So the world just found out this guy's a gateway to Rihanna and Drake.
Yeah.
The world just discovered it. The song's the #1 song in the world for 10 weeks.
Toronto guy, by the way.
Of course, yeah.
That's people might not know that, so I won't.
Okay, that's how I know Party. Yeah,
yeah.
Because when Party turned 18, I was the guy in the city, so I was bringing him out to.
You developed a friendship with the whole promoting thing.
Yeah, and grills. I said,
grills,
I'd love to make you a grill, blah blah blah, and then he like kind of looked me up or asked around, like, oh, and then I started bringing him out to parties.
You realize how crazy this is, though, Cory. You realize that, right? Like 1986, happened to be coming up with Drake, Abel the Weeknd.
Not like coming. I wouldn't see. I don't want to give off the like.
But the circles were crossing. I'm saying,
yes, of course. Also, because it's a small city, so like throwing parties, I'm gonna be the guy sometimes getting them into clubs and stuff like that. Yeah. Why I put the grills down was because then now fast forward 2016. Now been working in music for like a year and a half. I have an opportunity to be respected as a real music executive and build my career in music in Los Angeles. And like now I have like this is something that I could do for my life. Whereas the clubs I always saw as a stepping stone to something bigger. The grills I saw, okay, here's something that can maybe help me strengthen these relationships and give me something more. So when I go to LA, I knew I had to pick an artist to team up with. It was going to be this kid named Roy Woods from Toronto, who I really liked. But
Drake ended up signing.
Yeah.
Like, what drew you to Roy Woods?
I had this kid named Wes who threw parties also, this white guy, and he's like, I'm rapping now. And people would often reach out to me like wanting me to help just because they knew that I had a lot of like connections, even though I wasn't in the music industry, so to say, but I was friends with a lot of people in the industry in Toronto. So in that level, so he wanted me to hear him, and a lot of people were talking about you should be my manager, yada yada. Even though I'm not a manager. Yeah. But then I went to see this kid Wes. There was this 18-year-old kid Roy Woods there. I used to freestyle a lot. It's like me and him ended up like freestyling for like. I think we both like popped a Molly. It was like 4 PM freestyle for like 3 hours.
that's so
for like
funny.
3 hours, and I'm like, this kid's amazing.
Yeah.
And I started spending a lot of time with him. He had never released a song yet, and he already had a manager, and they had a whole collective. And I was going to be co-managing, but then around that time, I met Murda. I went to LA with Murda for 10 days, turned into 4 months. While I was gone, he ended up signing with OVO, and great. And he's my little brother. He just had his first kid.
That's awesome,
we're
man.
Both FaceTiming. We're still very connected. Just to quickly put to bed the grills thing, and then we can go back. The grills to pivot into the music industry. It allowed me to do that, and I ended up meeting Murda through that. And when we came to LA at the beginning, and I'm a new manager, Murda's a very new developing producer, I was able to get into so many sessions and rooms with the grills because I'd be offering that, so that helped a lot. And then once I was now at a point where I'm living with Party next door and Murda Beatz, who's getting more established, and we're going to studios. Party's now the most coveted writer on the planet, the gateway to Drake and Rihanna.
Did he have a manager?
And he did have a manager.
Okay.
He had like an intern manager. At that time, it was
for
like
you to manage him almost. But it didn't work out.
We were
that
friends,
way.
and he had an intern manager at that time who I really respected and loved. I was never trying to step on toes of that. Right. There was talks of maybe me joining the team or whatever, but remember, and we'll get back to it because we're kind of bouncing around, but I was so tunnel vision on making Murda the biggest producer. I wouldn't even want to think of distracting myself with also managing an artist. Yeah. Party was a great friend, and his manager had now become a great friend and a brother. And Party was letting me and Murda live in his house, and Party was bringing us to sessions. Party's 5 years younger than me, but he was teaching me the game and yada yada. It was a very brotherhood relationship like that. But when we're going around, the manager wasn't coming to the sessions at night. I was. So when I'm now the gateway to Party, and I have my grills bag still, I'm like, it's not I don't want to be seen as a guy, hey, do you want a grill? And I'm this music manager. So as soon as I started living with Party, I put the bag down, my kit, and I stopped.
You knew it was time to pivot.
I thought at first I'm going to pick Roy Woods. The Roy situation isn't clean. There's co-managers. There's other artists. Murda, it's me and Murda. Okay, I'm going to partner with him, and I'm going to learn the music industry and build my career with him.
Because you already had some music relationships because of the grills.
Throwing concerts and booking all these acts in Toronto.
Yes, yeah. Okay, but what I was going to try and say is, there's a lot of kids out there today that like don't look at things as a stepping stone. Like somebody will see an internship, they're like, I don't want to work for free for 6 months. Like they're not realizing, am I right?
90, I forget what the quote exactly is, but I'll say what the meaning, the message is. 90% of people never make it to their dreams in life. Because they're afraid of starting at the bottom. They're afraid of starting at the bottom. So when you graduate university, like I love my sister, most amazing person. She was top of her class, 98th percentile in school. But when she graduated with a master's in English literature, all she could really get was like glorified secretary jobs. Mm-hmm. And many people graduate university and like, I have a university degree. And it's like, okay, but there's no jobs right now other than the grocery store. You might need the grocery store to get some money, but like, I have a degree. I can't do a job like that. I know people in their 50s who lost their job and they were a high-level manager and they can't get a job like that anymore, so now they're unemployed for 10 years. Sometimes you got to be down to... I was making 6 figures throwing parties in Toronto, and I came out to LA to work in the music, and I had a beautiful condo on the lake downtown. I'm the guy throwing parties, 6 figures a year. Came to LA to now sleep on couches and be in debt and have to borrow money and max out my credit cards so I can build this dream and live with other artists like Party Next Door and essentially work for him as a day-to-day assistant
Cory,
for
that's the level that I'm talking about going, bro. Thank you.
At 30 years old, 30 years old now, have to work for free, sleeping on a couch in a house that is noisy all night, having to literally numb myself so I can sleep at night and be okay with living in this condition. Yes, it's a beautiful mansion, but
you were tripping out.
Of course.
Yeah. So let's dig into that.
I had to go through all of that because even when my mind and my family and everyone's telling me, what are you doing, Cory? Like, you're not making any money. You're living horribly, yada, yada. But quieting down all that and listening to my gut or God or direction or whatever you choose to call it, higher power, gut, believing this is going to lead me to greatness. I need to get over and get through this, and this is going to lead me to greatness.
Amen.
And to peace. Success for me is peace. This is going to lead me to future peace that I want.
Well said. And there's nothing that can fuck up. Again, we could swear as much as we want. There's nothing that can fuck up your intuition, your God-given direction as much as other people's voices, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes even your own voices in your head.
That's true.
You need to quiet those.
Good point. What I'm learning actually too is don't bring up your ideas or that intuitive pull to people who just aren't simply going to get it. What I mean by that is I have like friends of all ages, right? Got friends like younger than me and friends older than me. And what I notice is I'm an entrepreneur and I like to fucking build shit from nothing and we're in a whole new age. When I talk about some of my ideas, I'm not like ragging on this group, but people over age like 65. Just being of a previous generation, I think it's hard for them to really gauge and understand the power of the internet, the power of today's modern culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I saw something on Instagram the other day, and I talk about this a lot, that like you can't really talk about your big dreams with people who don't share big dreams because they'll see it as bragging.
Yeah.
Or they'll see it as like
they just won't get it, bro. I mean,
and sometimes it either seems unrealistic.
Yeah.
Or when you talk about you want to do this, that to someone who's not living like that, they'll often think like, or even to be like, if someone's like, so what'd you do on the weekend? And I'm telling them what I was doing, but if they're not living like that, they're like, oh, why are you bragging? I'm like, I'm not bragging.
Yeah, either bragging or they don't get it, Cory. Yeah. So and then so that happened to you a lot. Like you just said, you were living in this mansion, you had no money, you left this life that was working. Some of those voices got to you, right? And how did you handle that? Did you try and did you pull away and get more tunnel vision with it to try and silence some of that outside noise? I mean,
since you said this is going to be a podcast talking about like mental health and stuff like that too, I did a lot of self-medicating.
Right.
I smoked weed all day, every day.
Yep. I assume you drank a shit ton as well. I was being in that environment.
I mean, yeah, like I never like loved drinking or other drugs even, but I was living with the artist. I wasn't like I am now, executive vice president. From here, I'm going to my office. Mm-hmm. I wasn't living in an office. I was living with the artists. I was living with my client artist. I was living with the artists that we were working with. If they're partying, turning up, I'm turning up with them. So yes, I would have fun with them and strengthen relationships that way too. But my main thing all day, every day was weed.
Okay, so I had a horrible gambling addiction when I was like 17 to 23, right? Mm-hmm. And I had, 12-step groups. I'm sure you might have at one point been to some. And it really saved my life back then. So I'm in school getting my master's in clinical psychology, like I told you, so I know a little bit about addiction. And they say, don't ask why the addiction, ask why the pain. Exactly. And for me, I lost my dad young. Like, I just had a lot going on that I was trying to numb and escape from, as did you. You had a lot going on that was really weighing on you, and you were turning to weed or whatever other things you were turning to.
Yeah, the drugs and the addictions are never what the problem is, because a lot of people can gamble, can smoke weed, can drink, can do other things.
Without it being a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it isn't that that's the problem. It's you have a problem and you're using those things to...
It's the solution. You're trying to treat that. Yes,
so
yes.
But the whole point of 12-step groups or any other self-help type things that you choose, or faith, religion, whatever it is, it's finding a different solution. Finding a different solution to cope with your problems, other than, like I was uncomfortable, I had anxiety, I was, like fearful or stressed or whatever. So if I'd use weed or something else to cope with that, it's now finding something else to cope with that instead, such as just working on yourself and meditation.
There's so many things, bro. Yeah, there's so many
things. And tons of other things. Yeah, exactly.
So when did you know, like for me, like my bottom was like, I was like living in my girlfriend's basement. I was like 22. Like my mom changed the locks on me. What was your bottom, bro?
So my bottom the last time was the peak of my career. Everything's amazing. Have the #1 song in the world right now that I'm a co-producer on. I'm not even a producer, but I co-produced.
Which was the Nice for What?
Nice for What?
With Drake's #1 about 4 years ago or something.
2018. So 3 years ago.
Okay, yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah.
The bottom was that I was so sick. While everything's happening amazing, my career was peaking. It's taking off, and I'm very sick. And I'd been going through this for like over a year. Where I have a stomach problem. I don't know what the exact name is now, but it's coming more and more. I saw something that like in states where marijuana is legal, it's like 10% kids. Where if you smoke too much, and it's how the potency of the weed now, a lot of people develop stomach problems.
Didn't know that.
And I had that. I had stomach problems where I was like vomiting a lot and severe pains that would come, and I'd have to go in like hot showers a lot. Bro. And that was, I'd think, to make my stomach feel better and the anxiety from this feel better, smoke more weed. It was like a vicious cycle. And eventually I just like stopped all that, and then I ended up just starting a path of sober and physical health and mental health. Probably 3.5 years into that path, and I'm still sober, and I don't do any mind-altering substances.
That's amazing. Congratulations, bro. Man, people find that so fascinating, right? What the bottom was like, and like I said, that moment of awareness, it was just you kind of, I just want to get a clear picture for the listeners. It was like you literally just kind of curled up, feeling terrible in your stomach. And then did you make a phone call to like somebody close to you, like your uncle or like,
people close to me knew, and I tried to see many doctors, and I eventually went to like one doctor out here who like was able to recognize that it was something with marijuana, and I need to stop that. I need to stop it, and I should stop everything.
It was just overnight. This doctor told you, "Yo, this is what's doing it."
I got some like outside support and family support and stuff like that.
Whether it was therapy or friends or whatever.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I stayed in support groups and other stuff. And
so you've been to 12-step groups, right?
Yeah.
I spent so many years in 12-step groups. I just feel like...
Yeah, I mean, like any 12-step group, only the first half of the first step is actually about what the problem is. Whether it's drugs, admitting that you're powerless over that. So whether it's the drugs, gambling, sex, overeating, whatever your addiction is, only the first half of that. Everything else now is just about you. It's about having faith in a higher power, which does not mean God. It can literally be that light bulb. It's literally just saying there's something greater than yourself.
Yes.
Like, for example, like if you say, like, I'm for sure going to do this today, and then it rains outside. Okay, so you don't control everything. Just knowing that like, you're not in control of your universe. Yeah. So it's being able to take that stress off, like, I got to do this, I have to do that. It's like some things you can't control. So it's just getting rid of that. That's the beginning of the 12 steps. Then the rest of it is kind of dealing with your baggage. Yeah, dealing with all the shit in the past.
I feel like everybody's got baggage, bro. Everybody, yeah.
And realizing all the horrible things that have happened to you, and then doing the really difficult part of seeing what your part in it was. When you kind of make lists of that, you see, there's patterns. All these 100 people who wronged me in my life, from like the kindergarten teacher to the ex-girlfriend to that. What was my part? The pain was because I was doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
And then realize what those things are, sharing that with another person.
That's huge.
And then just daily things to work, making amends to the people that you've harmed in your past.
Yeah.
So it's like, Get it off your chest, because what you find is most people are pretty receptive to that, or they didn't really care that much, or they're happy for you, or there's some shit that you actually had to go through and work out, and you're able to do that. So you're clearing that baggage, and then having a connection to whatever higher power you want is, as long as it's not yourself, like you're not king of the fucking universe. And then the end of it, I'm kind of like, this is the most fast track through the 12 steps, and the end of it is just like basic daily maintenance to keep your shit good, like regularly, like check in on like, oh, what could I have done better yesterday? What could I do better tomorrow? What did I do good today? What did I not do so good at? And like meditation and keeping contact with another person, so you're not just going in fucking circles in your head. Most dangerous place in the world to go by yourself.
Say that again.
More dangerous than any third world country or Compton or ghetto, whatever. The most dangerous place to go in the fucking world, because you'll literally kill yourself, make yourself psycho by yourself, is your own head. Because
it lies to you. It lies to you.
The real thing is you eventually, and like one of the biggest growths in my life is realizing that the voice in your head is not you. The voice in my head when I'm holding my baby will be like, what if I killed my baby? I don't want to kill my baby. I would die for my baby. But the voice in your head's job is just to never stop talking. So it will talk about, oh, you can do this thing horrible. What if this really nice guy doing a podcast with me exploded right now? Oh, what if he does this? What if we become best friends? Oh, I hate this guy. Oh, I love this guy. Yeah. The voice in your head is just literally to say all a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So people then start believing some dark things, like, oh my God, I'm dark. And then they go on, what if this happens? Then what if that happens? Then what if that happens? And now they're in all these what ifs that's over there.
Yeah.
It's not real. You're right here. And now they're living, oh my God, my life's horrible. So it's like, that's why even whether you're writing down, journaling is good. Whether you're talking to God about it, whether you pick up the phone and call a friend or family or whatever. Once you're like, oh shit, that's not real.
Yeah, totally. Well said, man. There's this thing called the negativity bias. Have you heard of it?
No.
Works like animals. Like animals basically prioritize not getting eaten over finding their next meal. Mm-hmm. And we kind of, meaning they're more focused on the negative, and we have that as well, bro. Like, but it's a survival thing.
More focused on surviving.
Yeah. As you're saying that, it's more focused on survival. So hence you're focused on problems, bro. Yeah.
And that's something that like my wife's dealing with now, is that like from being in Katrina, where she like lost everything and yada yada, and New Orleans, start getting in like a survival thing. So it's like getting to a point where realizing like, okay, you're not about to die and lose everything today. So your first instinct is not getting eaten. So you can actually just
enjoy your life, bro.
Yeah. Fear that I tell everyone this. It's false evidence, something appearing real.
It's just real. Going back to what you just said.
You're afraid of like, okay, what if this happens tomorrow and then that does this and they hate me and then I lose everything? So now you're afraid of losing everything.
And you still have these thoughts, by the way.
Sure, but I know
how do you manage them? You manage them faster, probably, right?
I really acknowledge it's false evidence appearing real. So if I'm thinking, so this thing might happen and this happens, blah, blah, and then my client fires me and then I lose money and then I don't have this and then I lose my house. So now I'm afraid of losing my house. All because of something that's not even fucking real. All because of this what if, all because of what if the worst case scenario happens, and then of the 100 options of that, then the worst case scenario happens. So now I'm in this horrible thing that could never even fucking happen. It's not possible. And now, and I'm afraid of that, and I'm afraid of that happening when like we're not even at the first thing yet. When all I got to do is is find a solution for that first thing.
As you were hitting the bottom, stomach pains, relying on drugs to get you through, like, I'm assuming that a lot of those friendships, maybe, well, not a lot of them, but at least some of those friendships you might have outgrown. Am I right?
Outgrown, sure.
Yeah.
Because there's some people who I thought I was very close with because of the amount of time I was spending with them, partying with them and stuff like that. And now there's just not as much things in common. And even now, I work at a very high level. My values are, I think, kind of pure. At least I think so. My wife is my number one priority.
Yeah.
My child's my number one priority. My family is what I care about the most. That's it. So it's like my circle is much smaller. And a lot of people will think that we were very close, and we were at that time. And that's okay. It's okay to have friendships for seasons. And it's okay to outgrow things. And it doesn't mean that wasn't a great relationship back then, and people say that, like, if anyone ever says that I've changed, thank you. I hope I continue changing.
Wow.
I hope in 5 years I've completely changed. You know what I mean? Like I want to constantly be growing in life, day by day and year by year. I never want to stay the same. I want to be growing forever.
What would you say to people like, man, like, I know I'm good at this and it's taking longer than they would like?
Listen to your gut,
Yeah.
Like really, really do whatever you have to do. It might take you some few days, weeks to figure that out. But to really listen to your gut, like, is this what you're meant to be doing? Because sometimes the answer is no.
You got to walk away.
Yeah, I loved basketball as a kid. My biggest dream would be to make the NBA. I realized, I'm not going to make the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could have kept being like, no, but this is my dream. And I could be 35 still going to NBA tryouts. And like, no, Corey, you suck.
Yeah.
You're not good. You just like basketball. You're not good. Like, eventually, so there's that part. That's step one. Okay, now you're on step two. If this is what you're meant to do, are you willing to sacrifice everything? Are you willing to sacrifice relationships? Are you willing to sacrifice sleep? Are you willing to sacrifice the luxuries of being able to hang out with your friends and do what your friends are doing? Are you willing to put every bit of money, mental energy, everything into your dream until you're going to give up? So are you willing? And like
until the wheels fall off. Right? Yeah.
So if that's the thing, because if you look at something like the guy who made Facebook, the guy who made Apple, the guy who made Microsoft, the guy who made Starbucks, the girl who made J.K. Rowling made Harry Potter, who's richer than the Queen of England. All of them were told no a couple hundred times, meaning all of them had a plan to succeed and go do it, and they failed.
Yeah.
But then they started again. You only fail once you stop. So it's like, are you willing to get rejected hundreds and hundreds or thousands of times? One part that I'd add to it is, what are you going to do to differentiate yourself from other people? You got to find something, and that's why the grills differentiated me. I was offering something different. No one else was doing that. Murda had a manager, and I was an aspiring executive out here who was offering grills to people. That was something, no one else was doing that. So people were even just talking about it. Yo, there's this guy who's like bringing around like beats and grills. It was like something different. Have something different. And even like Murda had a unique brand. So it's like, if you make beats, if you sing, if you rap, if you're trying to be an executive, if you're trying to start this,
even Murda's look is like unique for what he does, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And the whole brand that we created and stuff. But you have to have something that differentiates you, because whatever you're doing, there's thousands of others who are doing it at probably the same skill level. Just like in the NBA even too. Everyone in the NBA is the best fucking athletes, super tall, best shooters and dribblers in the world. What makes LeBron from the guy who got drafted and never even played? It's like mental. He's willing to do what others aren't willing to do. Athletics, sure, you need that ability too. But I'm saying, so like in your career, what are you doing? First off, make sure that you're good. You can't say I'm going to be a singer but you have a horrible voice.
Yeah.
You're going to make beats, but your beats are trash.
Of course.
But like once you're okay, you have the skill. Okay, so now you're in this arena with 100,000. What's going to make you different from the 100,000 to be in the 100 that make it?
What I always thought was interesting was you realize Rick Ross, 2 Chainz, Drake, a lot of these rappers, they're all unique, right? Everybody I just mentioned is unique, but they're all saying the same shit. A lot of it is about cars, girls, the come up. Like, let's be real. You know what I'm saying? So why are they? But their differentiation is their take on the world. They came from different backgrounds. Their take on the world is just by default unique. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but also like when you say Drake, 2 Chainz, at least because I know those camps really well. Drake's much more than 2 Chainz, but so when you talk about them, I'm not thinking just about like what their voice sounds like and their words, because that's they say that like the actual music is like 20%. So I'm thinking about the 80, like how did their team move differently? What are the like for me and Murda, like what was that like us coming to LA and grinding and making grills and beats and connecting with the right people. So it's like, what are the other moves that the team did? What were the right business decisions? What were the sacrifices? When I'm saying do something different, I don't just mean in like your lyrics, because that's the thing. You're right. When you listen to the beats with all the producers, a lot of them sound quite similar.
Yeah.
When you listen to the lyrics, a lot of them sound quite similar. A lot of these songs also are made collaborative with the same type of writers and the same types of producers, and mixed and mastered by the same top engineers.
Exactly.
On the same software and programs.
Yeah.
When I'm saying what are they doing different, a lot of it is the business. A lot of it is the sacrifices, is those like out the box like things. And when I'm saying out the box, it isn't just in like the lyrics or like the crazy drum loop that you made in your beat. It's like, what did you do like to get your beats noticed? How did you like, what like Murda got with the Migos because he messaged their engineer who wanted to be a rapper on Twitter, and he connected with them on Twitter, and he'd find the right times to tweet them. So it's like what are those things that were done differently? Sure, Rick Ross has a great voice. 2 Chainz has a great rap. They're all great. You have to be great to be there. That's what I'm saying. You have to be great to make it in the NBA. But now in those 400 players, how do you become an all-star?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what are you doing different? So it's like same thing.
My little point on that is I think if you're a little bit different, fucking own that shit. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Like Drake's a fucking a Jew from Canada. Like at the end of the day, he's Jewish.
Who was Degrassi.
Yes, he owned that. Yeah.
One of Drake's best things is you make fun of a lot of people when you make fun of them. They start everything that Drake's ever been made fun of. Yeah. He's owned and made it a joke.
Exactly.
How can you make fun of the guy being and then everyone making fun of him for singing? Listen to rap now. It's cannot all singing. Be a rapper if you're not singing.
Exactly.
The hardest fucking guys who are singing to
150%. Have you seen 8 Mile?
Yeah.
With Eminem, he did the B Rabbit. I mean, B Rabbit's like, I did grow up in a trailer park, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you own that. Yeah.
So now what can you say about me?
That's what I'm saying. And people love that. And then everybody listening, because, everybody that's watching that, they want to be able to do that with themselves. Everybody feels maybe a little different, and they want to own their uniqueness. You feel me? So when they see somebody else do that, it gives them fucking a permission slip to do that for themselves. And that makes us feel good.
Exactly.
This fateful moment in, like I told you, I did research. August 2014, you were at a jewelry store and you ran into Murda.
Going to my jeweler in Toronto. Shout out Chris from Rock City.
Shout out Chris.
Dundas Square. It's like our version of Times Square. He's still there. Go check him out if you're in Toronto. Best jeweler in the city. I was not a jeweler. I have made a brand called Goldie Rocks Girls, where we made girls, and by making girls, I mean I did the impressions, and then I gave them to Chris at Rock City. Chris at Rock City made the girls, and then I'd give them the girls. That's why there was no real money in it, because I'm getting it for a deal for $300, and then I'm selling it for $400, and it just gas and everything else just costs me. I mean, I'm hoping to maybe put aside like $10, $20, so enough of those $10, $20 can pay for some free girls for the celebrities.
That's wild.
None of this was to make money. This was to elevate my life.
That's wild.
The next step. So anyways, August, I go to Chris. I had just got back from a family cruise. And interesting, I don't think I've ever said this on an interview, so here's a fresh gem for you.
Sweet.
I decided I'm finally getting over and letting go of my ex-girlfriend that I was getting back and forth with, chasing her. Finally letting that go.
How many times, bro? We talking 5, 6, 7?
No, we broke up a couple times, got back together, broke up a couple times, got back together. She come back in my life. She went to Prague for summer. I went to chase her against all my friends telling me, don't go, idiot. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go. And I went to stay with her for a bit and then came back and ended up cheating on me with someone else. And it just kept going. But then finally, I'm like, I was on a cruise with my family and I brought my best friend and I said, I'm done. And I actually felt it. She's gone. I'm moving on. First day home. Okay, I have these girls to go drop off at Chris. Go drop off. And so I got rid of something that was taking up so much space in my life. Now room for more. And that day I met Murda.
Bro, can you just pause that for a second? That's crazy, bro. Wow.
Exactly. Because if I was still focused on her, could I have given my everything in my life to this I'm 27 at the time, or I'm 28. Could I give everything to this 20-year-old kid to try to make his career when I'm still trying to make it with the girlfriend? So no. So finally met him. So I was open to that. And I went to go drop off some molds, and the security at the jewelry store is like, yo, Cory, you should meet this guy. He's a dope producer. And it's like I told you, people are always trying to meet me, tell me different things, yada, yada, I should be the man. And I'm like, whatever. So I see his Instagram. Oh, he has 10,000 followers. That's crazy.
Which was lit for that.
10,000 followers. And it says he's worked with all these cool like underground street guys like Migos. Never had an album yet. Chief Keef. And it says Lil Durk. And I think it said like Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug. This is also 2014, so they're very small then. But it said that because he had this song Welcome to Atlanta remix that had Rich Homie Quan, Young Thug, and all them on it from the Migos. So it said all these names on it. These worked with names that I recognize. I knew the Migos because they had a song that was big in Toronto, Versace. That song never got really big on DSPs because they didn't put the Drake version
until Drake jumped on it, right?
They didn't put the Drake version on DSPs.
So it didn't blow like that because Drake wasn't yet on it, right?
No, Drake blew up the song and gave the all eyes to the Migos.
Yes.
But that song, that song's not like a multi-platinum hit, even though it's so big, because they didn't release the Drake version.
Got it.
Like the Drake version was big because there was no DSPs back then, so a song could be just big on YouTube and big on SoundCloud and still be the biggest song in clubs and stuff like that. Migos are a really hot mixtape group back then.
And you were aware of this before you looked at Murda's Instagram.
So I saw Murda.
Right?
I had heard of this new group, Migos, and back then I was still uncertain on mumble rap. When I would first meet Murda, I'll admit, because he'll tell people, "Oh, you didn't believe at the beginning in it." In this music, I wasn't sure if this rap was like very good. I'm like, these guys aren't very good rappers. I then started like learning that there's more art to hip hop, and now I ended up getting in an argument with Dave Chappelle for like an hour, telling him that. When he's like, these same thing as what I would say to Murda when I first met him, like, this is not real rap. Real rap is like New York, like Jay-Z, not like lyricists. But it's like the Migos, and now I'll defend and I'll be saying for the Murda was saying Migos are one of the best groups ever, and they've created culture and waves and yada yada, because there's hip hop has now evolved to be more than just lyrics. It's now there's a lot so like just like art.
It's more just overall
art
feel
at one point, like you look at the Mona Lisa or any modern art and they say that's not art. Art evolved, and they are incredible artists, innovators, even though they're not doing this exact same type of bars that the New York Rocks, but now that I get into it, sorry to say defend, Migos do have fucking bars. They are amazing.
Which ties back to what we said earlier about why is it taking long. I remember what you said about 400 players in the NBA. Well, sometimes you're so unique and so different that people don't know what the fuck you are and what you're doing, right?
So the
and
Migos,
sometimes that's a
and
good
there's
thing.
3 of them, and they're doing ad libs and mama, and this is and you're like, what is this?
Exactly.
But then you realize, but then everyone now trying to copy them. So now it's like, what's going to be the next thing and the next thing? So anyways, that day in there, I remember seeing it was Murda Beatz with Smokescreen.
Yeah.
Another producer, both from Niagara region, skinny, 20-year-old, shaggy-haired, shy kid in there. And he says he works with these guys, and he's introducing to me, this is Cory. Like, he's lit. He throws all these parties here. He's doing a festival in a week with A$AP Rocky. I was in a festival with like A$AP Rocky and some big name people like that, and then all the local rappers. So I can put on Roy Woods, who I was working with at that time, and other people like that, yada yada. And Murda got my number, and then he'd hit me up for about a week, being like, "Let me come play you some beats to show you I'm legit." I wasn't sure, but he was very persistent, so I let him come down. He came into the city and played me some beats, and his beats are really good. But there was something about him. What I was thinking that time, because I was doing concerts, I'm like, his look, being like the white kid making hard gangster rap, whose name is Murder. His name is Murda Beatz.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what's his real name?
Shane Lindstrom.
Lindstrom.
Very Swedish.
Right.
Okay. Sounds like a producer, but a Swedish producer or an NHL player. And I'm like, I'm gonna make him. My vision at that point, I'm like, if I were to do something with him, I'd be making him like the Calvin Harris, because Calvin Harris was like the biggest back then of hip hop. So he'd be the guy making this big rap music, and it's like such a unique brand. So I'm thinking about the brand. Yeah. At that point, so
already like off rip, you were thinking about this guy's different.
And then it just slowly started happening. He came to meet me, playing me some beats. His beats were dope. Yeah. But there's a ton of people who have dope beats. It wasn't just so people are like, like that's why people send me, listen to this beat, you should manage me. But like, it's not just the beats. So it was the whole package.
That was one thing I loved about listening to you when I prepared for this interview is you acknowledged how much more it takes than just the talent side of things, which I thought was dope. Yeah.
When someone hits me up and they're like, oh, like a mother, like my daughter is the best voice, you should manage her. I'm like, or like, no, your daughter is the best voice, that she should apply for the show The Voice,
right?
Or America's Got Talent, something like that. The best voice, that's for a talent show. If you want to tell me that why she should make it in the music industry, because she has the best team, the best brand, the best concept for an album, the best creative direction, the best day-to-day and people around her, like the biggest PR ideas and yada yada. Tell me about her team and the vision and the business.
This is such an important point, bro.
That's what I want to hear more than the voice, because I expect her to have a good voice. And if she doesn't, we'll get a better engineer to get the proper auto-tune and a good vocal engineer, and we'll get her vocal lessons and vocal engineering. Don't tell me about the voice. Of course the voice needs to sound good. Yeah. That's like saying, hey, I have this guy who can shoot a basket. He should make it the NBA. No, like what's his skill like? Like how's his mindset?
Or what's his commitment?
What's his commitment? What's his work ethic? Like, tell me she has a good voice. That just means great, she could sing. My niece has a good voice. I'm not trying to get her signed to a label. She's 8 years old. Like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? So what's different than my 8-year-old niece and your 25-year-old daughter if they both just have a good voice?
Facts.
me and Murda. So what I liked about him when I started spending time with him. So now he came to meet me. He came to the festival. Yada yada. What I liked his I liked how different this brand was. Murda Beatz, this white kid from Canada, is doing this. You know what I mean? It's so different like that. And then the fact that he's
work
working,
ethic was like,
absolutely work ethic, and a lot of that work ethic. Yes, making beats, but also hitting me a couple times a day for a week until I'd agree to meet. So I'm like, okay, his
great sign.
His tenacious,
yeah.
And then his way of getting to an artist, like I want to get to that person, so I'll become friends and make grills for all the friends around them, so I can get to them. And then he was doing the same thing with beat stuff. So we're very like-minded and we're very focused, and we both. You know, you said at the very beginning of the podcast, if you're talking about big things with someone who's not thinking about big things, it's hard.
Yes.
We're both thinking we want the biggest. So we're both thinking the same thing. We're both talking about, eventually we'll everything, going to put everything into this dream. Then we did
beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
And then 2014, we signed a management contract together. It's a whole other process, and I can get into explaining later.
Well, how long did it take until your first biggest hit working together? When did that come?
I think the first big hit was like May or June, and it was Pipe It Up with the Migos, who he was already connected with. But I was helping him. I started helping him with his business.
This is after you were on board, I'm saying.
Yes.
This is like, it's about a year, 8-10 months?
Yeah, like 8 to 10 months from when we met. But in LA, the first time I went out there, he was working with everybody, working with Tyga, The Game.
Yeah. Did you make those those plugs, right? Yeah.
Through making
the
grills for
thing. That's crazy, bro.
But the grills, so that's the thing. When I go up to someone and meet them, I had 3 things to offer. I'm this fun, charismatic personality. I'm Cory. I'm from Toronto. I can
plug you in this cool city we talked about.
Booked in this new cool, the 6 city.
Yeah.
First couple of years, it's still, you're from Toronto. Do you guys live in igloos? It was still very mysterious.
Yeah.
But by around 2017, 2016, 2017, people started thinking, okay, Toronto's cool. And you have Bieber, Shawn Mendes, everything's from there. But
totally.
Every writer, producer, Toronto owns music. But people were just starting to be intrigued with Toronto. The raps are just starting to get nice.
Yeah.
People are starting to get intrigued with Toronto.
Toronto and Atlanta kind of dominate the music industry. I mean, there was a point when they were both dominating the music industry. Wouldn't you agree?
In different ways, for sure.
In different ways, yeah.
So yes, the plug in Toronto, from the supermodel that I'm meeting to the rapper to everyone, people want to do tours in Toronto. Get into Toronto because it's a foreign country. It's different. It's mysterious. That plus, I'd love to make you a grill. Make artists a grill. Ooh, free gold. Do you want free diamonds and gold?
Of course.
The richest person saying yes to that.
Yeah, wow.
Cool. And the richest person doesn't want to go to a jeweler. Oh,
didn't you make something for Kylie at one point too?
Yeah.
You spoke about that. Yeah.
Kylie was like in our circle for a little bit.
Yeah.
In between her dating Tyga and Travis, we were like really tight. Not that I was dating her, but someone, I don't want to talk about it.
But you made her a grill, which is kind of interesting.
Someone who I was very close to was dating her for a little bit in between the Tyga Travis.
Okay.
And
you made her a grill.
I mean, yes. That, and then I have this dope producer, Migos producer. So Murda, the first year, didn't really have much to say. He was shy, young kid. So, and I would do the talking for him.
When did he start to get more comfortable than Cory?
When the hit started coming, he was going up more, yada yada. Had some money. This music shit's really working. He definitely came out of his shell. But at the beginning, if he were to meet you, now he'd say, hey, what's up? You'd say your name. He might even say, I'm Shane.
Oh, shit.
But back then, could never say his name, Shane, in public. I would never say that. He's Murda Beatz. And what he would say to everyone we meet, hey, Murda Beatz, Migos producer. Maybe even Murda Beatz, Murda with an A, Beats with a Z. He'd say
he
that
would
too,
say
so
that?
You know how to spell it. That'd be a lot he'd say.
Comedy,
but it was always Murda, hey, I'm Murda Beatz,
Migos
producer. So what I say too, hey, I'm from Toronto, if you want to get booked, blah, blah, blah. Also, I'd love to make you a grill. I'd love to make artists a grill. Also, I manage that kid over there. So you look over. That kid over there. Or the kid standing right beside me.
Yeah.
His name's Murda Beatz. He's Migos producer. And also, granted, remember, I'm telling everyone, and he's telling everyone, he's Migos producer. Then if they start asking questions, oh shit, Migos producer. He made Versace? No, he didn't make that one. Oh, he didn't make Versace. Oh, so he made Handsome and Wealthy? No, he didn't make that one. Oh, he made Fight Night? No, he didn't make that. No, he didn't make any of the ones that you've heard in clubs or radio. But he's Migos producer.
Yeah.
Because he did have like 6 or 7 songs with Migos when I met him. But none of them were the singles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even when I'm telling Migos producer, if they start asking, "Oh shit, you made Fight Night? That's our favorite song right now."
You get that
no,
a lot.
no, I didn't. Yeah, the biggest song of them was called Emmett Smith. And we'd go to clubs and ask the DJ, "Do you have Emmett Smith?" Actually, the first song where the dab ever happened. His next song, "Pipe It Up," is where the dab became an international dance sensation.
Crazy.
So it was his song that made the dab.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, but it was. So I'm telling them, and the Migos were this new group.
Yeah.
Very intriguing and mysterious. And if you're in the industry, who knows how to do business with these guys? Biggest artists be like, I'm trying to reach them, but how the fuck do you get in contact with them? They're managed by P is a street guy back then.
I know.
He's not a mogul label runner.
Coach K was more like the industry guy.
Yes,
right?
but even still, it's like, how did you get to these guys? And what one of them's in and out of jail. After they're in jail, then it's like it's like this guy is the
so
producer.
Murda's like the plug almost. You're saying
So
to the guy, which is Cory is the
three golden diamonds. Okay. And if you want to do this, is the guy who's making the music for the street sound.
And one more question about you and Murda. Like, I've managed artists before. Sometimes you don't see eye to eye with your client, with your artist. How do you guys handle that in a healthy way when you see something differently?
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
We used to fight every day, all the time when we were coming up. But we were both still on this path together. And so we'd be in the car like, fuck you. But then we go in the meeting, we'd be perfect.
Wow.
You know, like we were.
And then would it just take a couple days? Shit would simmer down.
Maybe. I mean, we used to be living together 24/7 from 2014
That's a lot of time
to
around each other. That could already be testy a little bit that way.
It makes it hard. And we're doing other substances, and we're not sleep, and we're both sacrificing everything, sacrificing happiness, family, health, physical.
So you weren't your best. You weren't your best self.
So neither of us are our best self. Both of us just spent 2 nights up on Molly making music with this artist, and now we're trying to have a conversation. It's like fuck you, no fuck you.
It's so funny to me,
so it's like now our relationship's better than ever, but of course we butt heads sometimes on things.
Okay, and I want people listening to know sometimes, like, all right, if you're butting heads with your client or your spot, like, it's okay. Like, you just have to handle friction in a healthy way. I've learned, like, if you know what I'm saying, because there's a lot of unhealthy ways to handle friction.
As the manager, it's my job that even if what he's doing is unhealthy, that I still like rise to it. You know, like it's my job to be the adult. It's my job to
as the manager,
towards solutions. And then as a manager, sometimes it becomes toxic and unhealthy, and it's not benefiting your life anymore, and you might need to walk away.
And I want to ask you that. So what do you see in your eyes as an unhealthy way to deal with friction? Like what's unhealthy? Like, are you guys basically where you just, let's say, you're pissed and don't talk to each other for like 7 days or something?
Not looking at and focusing on a solution and your part.
Where it's just finger point, like, fuck you fucked this up, or you guys do that to
okay,
each other.
How can we make this better? And by
Yeah.
making this better, it's what are you going to do different? What am I going to do different? Or you need to be willing, even though this is unhealthy, and even though he's not doing what I would need in a normal situation, I'm gonna bite my tongue on this one for the greater good of our success and our dreams and keep it going. And if you're able to do that, which I was for years, even with times when it was unhealthy, and I'm now, great. But if there comes to a point ever, and I have multiple close friend managers who have just walked away from their superstar clients.
Serious?
Yes, I know multiple. I know multiple executives who have walked away from their superstar CEO jobs. My new partner and founder of the company, Hallwood, he was CEO of Geffen with Interscope, and he could have continued that, or could have gone to become president of a Capitol or Def Jam and to then be CEO there. He walked away from that. So there are people, because it wasn't serving his life and his dreams and goals anymore. And then there are people I know who have superstar clients, and for years they were okay with it being unhealthy because it was still for their personal goals and dreams in life.
They had to hang in there. They had to hang in there. Yeah.
But then it comes to a point where it's like, this is actually adding negative to my life, and I don't need that anymore. So I could walk
Beautiful.
away. So either we could both own our shit and move forward positively,
Cory,
or we need to separate.
Let me fucking blow your mind right now. It leads to what you said about you were in this unhealthy in and out, back and forth with the ex-girlfriend. You let that go, and then you met, your amazing client Murda. So it's like, life works that way, bro.
With all my clients forever, and sometimes there might be times where it's unhealthy and we can work it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes there might be times where it's unhealthy and we can't work it out. But I'm okay putting up with a little bit of that unhealthy. Just like I'm okay eating this horribly fattening meal that's going to be bad for me because I'm going to enjoy it now and it's
going to be
okay. But at a certain point where it's like, no, I'm not okay with that because it's same thing. There might be a point in any of my clients or any of my partnerships, like this Hallwood thing I have now too, and other things where it's like this is not serving me anymore. I need to lose that, which is going to be a loss, to be able to open for more blessings.
That's such a gem, man. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's bring it home with this. I feel like success leaves clues. One of the biggest artists maybe ever in recent memory is Drake, obviously, right? And you've gotten to spend a decent amount of time around Drake. Being in that sort of inner sphere with Drake, is there anything you notice about how he moves or just things that like, oh, I never like looked at life like this, but being around Drake, it made me look at life in a different way, or like you got some piece of wisdom from kind of watching how Drake moves or something. Do you have like a second-hand gem like that?
If you specifically want to talk about Drake,
because that's
everyone
a huge success.
So there's a reason why I could never be OVO crew. I could never be, and if I fuck with it, I could never be XO crew. I could never be Party's strict OMO crew because I'm Murda Gang.
Okay,
for sure, because everyone in OVO, everyone who works around Drake, including him, is tunnel visioned on that, on Drake, on his success.
Nothing else. Nothing else. Right. Okay.
Everyone is fully in that, only on that.
What's the coolest part about being a father? Because you're like a relatively new father. I forgot to ask you that.
It's amazing. It's just dope spending time with him, watching him grow, and it's really given my life a purpose. Like everything I'm doing now is not just like, oh, like so I can have more money in my account. It's like, oh, so I can for my future with my family, for my son's future. Like, and just time. Even when I'm planning my day, the podcast, like, okay, so I'm gonna be leaving my house, leaving my family at this time. So it's like I said yes to this because I liked that you were doing something different. Yours was a podcast about the come up story. I've done that before. I've had 5 ask me recently that I've said no to.
Oh, really?
Yours I said yes to because it was different. It was talking about mental health and addiction as well.
Appreciate it.
So you differentiate yourself from the other.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
So I won't do things that seem like they're a waste of time anymore. I won't just go hang out with someone. I won't take on a client. I won't just go for lunch with someone when it could be a 5-minute call. I care about my time.
I love that
now, much more than ever because that's my time with the one. I can lose all my money right now. I can go get it back. I can leave the music industry and lose all my money. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to be successful. Yeah. What I can't get back is time. Oof. You can't ever get back time. So I don't ever want to waste it.
Bro. And to be like a
because
blessing.
of my son now. That's what gave me that perspective.